Hi, everyone, and Shana Tova to everyone who's celebrating Rosh Hashanah tonight. I hope you have a happy, healthy new year, and may you get everything that your heart desires this new year. In the spirit of New Year, so those of you who aren't celebrating the Jewish New Year, I still wanted to kind of put out this video talking about the new year because it is still a new school year, which does bring about a lot of new beginnings. It's also a change of season, which usually brings about a lot of different changes in our mood, changes in our behavior, changes in our routine. So especially if you have kids, you have school, kids going to school. So your routine might be changing. The seasons are changing. Our spirits are changing. It's a very critical point in the year for change. And so today I will be talking a little bit more deeply about what that change can be like for ourselves, how we can inflict change on ourselves, and how we can forgive ourselves for who we were in our last year. So it's usually within Jewish tradition that this time of year is categorized as a time of year where we really kind of take an inventory of everything we've gone through in the year, the type of person that we were this year, the things that we're proud of, the things that we're not so proud of, and the areas of improvement that we can hopefully have in the new year. So we want to make sure that we do that. And another big part about it is forgiveness. So we're always asking for forgiveness in this time of year. We're asking for forgiveness from the divine, or the Holy Spirit, as you like to think of it. We're asking for forgiveness from our friends and family if we've, unintentionally or intentionally hurt them in any way. We want to make sure that we're letting go of that, that we're being forgiven by those important people that we have in our lives. And then most importantly, I think, is to be prepared to forgive ourselves for our wrongdoings, so that we can start the new year on a clean slate and we're able to start to manufacture the new us. So the person that we were last year, we can hopefully let go of it and start to manufacture the person that we would like to be this year. And one of the best ways that we can do that, and a lot of us do this, especially like I said, if you're going back to school or starting a new job, or really just embracing this change, is by creating goals for yourself. So really looking back and taking an inventory of everything that you were proud of this year, and then thinking about the things that about yourself that you noticed that you weren't so happy with yourself about. So it could be anything from bad habits. Maybe you haven't been taking care of yourself. We talked a little bit in the other video about self-care and how important that is. So maybe you're not as proud of yourself for your ability to self-care this past year. You could be not so happy about the way that you've treated others this year. Or maybe you're just looking for an improvement in a number of areas of your life. So let's talk a little bit about choosing the right goals. So it has to be a goal that is something that is achievable, something that's realistic, and something that will make you feel truly happier once you've accomplished it. And it has to be something that you can actually accomplish. So something that you can say to yourself, you know what, I set out a plan for this and I accomplished it. So how do we actually get to do that? I know for myself, when I was going through PR school, we talked a lot about, and if you're going through marketing, you'll hear this too. We talk a lot about SMART goals. So SMART goals S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for actionable, R stands for relevant or realistic, and T stands for time bound. So basically how this rolls out is, let's say, for example, you really want to lose weight this year. Instead of saying to yourself, okay, this year I'm going to lose weight, you have to be specific. So you be more specific and say, okay, I want to lose 5 pounds. So that's your specification. It has to be measurable, right? So, maybe you can talk about calculating a measurement for how many calories you want for the day. or how many times a week you'd go and exercise. Making sure that it's actionable. So it's something that you can actually do to pursue that goal and accomplish it. So again, 3 to 5 times a week at the gym is actionable. You can do that for yourself. Another great one, of course, is being realistic. So instead of saying going from 0 times a week to every day of the week might be a big stretch for you, try and be a little bit more realistic. So maybe instead of 7 days a week, you want to do, 3 to 5 times a week or twice a week to start, and then move your way up. And then finally, time bound. So when do you want this accomplishment to actually be achieved? Do you want it to be achieved by this same time next year? Do you want it to be, in the next 2 months? Put a time restriction on it, because not only does it incorporate urgency, so it makes you more motivated to actually achieve it, and it makes you accountable for when you're achieving it, and actually making it more realistic that you will achieve it, having a set deadline. So that's a really important model for you to be structuring your goals and moving towards them. So I can give you another example for myself. I'm looking to finish a book. Instead of having it hang on my head, okay, I got to finish this book, I got to finish this book, I start to think about, okay, well, specifically, I'd like to get 3 chapters done. So that's measurable and specific. And I'd like to have that actionable by working on my book twice a week. So that, again, that's actionable. I have to evaluate whether or not that's realistic. Can I do that within my time restraints? And then finally, when do I want to have that goal accomplished? So when will I like to have 3 to 5 chapters done of my book? And so start with that model. And again, start small. So American Psychological Association has a few tips as well when it comes to goal setting and keeping yourself accountable and effective towards those goals. So one of the tips involves starting small. So making sure that you're making resolutions that you can actually keep. A lot of our resolutions may also be behavioral. So maybe it's perhaps that you have seen throughout your year that you were a little bit selfish this year. You want to bring out a little bit more of a generous side to yourself. So start small, maybe do a few donations, a month. You can start with a small donation and build yourself up, or maybe you can do a few favors for your neighbors or your friends, but start small. Another big tip is change one behavior at a time. So a lot of the time, especially if you're someone with bipolar, we tend to like to achieve a lot at once. Which can be very overwhelming and not very effective. So change one behavior at a time, very important. Another thing is talk about it. So talk about your goals, talk about how it's working out for you. A big part of that is because your friends and family will actually hold you accountable for it. It's also a really great way for you to remind yourself what's left to be done for that goal. You'll also possibly get support from your friends and family, and perhaps that can fuel your motivation to actually get moving and start accomplishing that goal. Another big tip from the American Psychological Association is don't beat yourself up. So a big part of forgiveness is forgiving ourselves for not being perfect, for not always being productive. Sometimes we have good days, sometimes we have bad days. And we have to make sure that we don't beat ourselves up about it, because if we do beat ourselves up about it, we're only going to compromise our situation the next day and the next day and the next day, which will eventually kill our motivation and, of course, kill our self-esteem while we're at it. Ask for support if you need help along the way. If you're looking to, quit smoking or lose weight or be more generous or regulate your moods. Perhaps you're not happy with how you've been regulating your emotions this past year, and maybe you've burned a few bridges. But in any event, always ask for help, whether that's therapeutic help, professional help, or the help from your friends and family. Happy New Year to you, Haley. I hope you get all the best. We were just talking about setting goals for the new year and really kind of working towards producing a new and improved version of ourselves for the new year. It's always good to ask for forgiveness. It's always good to ask for willpower. It's always good to ask for health and happiness and success. And a lot of that comes from divine intervention. I do believe that we have a destiny, and everything does happen for a reason. But I also believe in the power of our free will, and the fact that we can actually take control of our lives and take control of who we are and whether or not we're proud of ourselves at the end of the day or at the end of the year. So I hope that's great for you. So remember, SMART goals is where it's at. So specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. That's the model that you should have for any of your goals moving forward. I wish you all an amazing new year. I hope that you embrace all the change that's happening right now. Seasonal change, routine change, year change. A lot of changes happening in the spiritual world right now. I hope that you embrace it. I hope that you are fruitful in it and that you get all that you desire this year. I'm signing off. This is Rebecca from Mindstone, and Happy New Year, Shana Tova, and all the best to everyone listening here on Mindstone. All the best.